donuts.
Started out for the holidays.
I don't know, but I was just getting so fat. I was trying to cut this thing off there before it got out of control.
So does that mean you're not making Christmas this year?
I started last night trying to make some, and Eli had to do measurements, so we did the cookie recipe for measurements. So about 40 minutes into this, I was so frustrated that I kind of punted my cookies for the moment. So we're gonna come back to it next week and see if we can get back on track with my cookie making.
That's the tradition.
He was so frustrated with me, and I was so frustrated with him. Of course, the teacher has a video of him and me in the background saying, "Would y'all quit giving me dirty looks?" Because his mother was mad at me because I was wanting to do it right, and I could get him to do it right. It is. Don't drink the calories. It really is. It's tougher than I thought it would be. And I didn't realize how many Cokes and stuff I drank until I stopped.
Yeah.
And I was drinking 2 or 3 Dr. Peppers a day. And
a lot of calories.
Good for you, stuff that's in them.
I'm starting to think that my diet's just making me shorter, not thinner.
Just more love.
That's what I tried to convince Karen of, but she doesn't seem to like what she's got available to love right now, so.
Got about 45 seconds.
You're good to go.
You good to go?
You think so?
I do believe we have 9 o'clock then. We're gonna go ahead and begin. This is our regularly scheduled December meeting. We're gonna go ahead and open up with a prayer. I'm gonna ask if Supervisor Williams will open us up with prayer.
Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, come before you this morning with gratitude, thanks in our heart. We thank you for all that you do for us every day. We thank you for the peace that we enjoy in Occidental County and state of Mississippi and United States of America. We pray for those individuals who put on their uniform every day to ensure that we continue to have the type of peace and harmony that we enjoy. We pray for each and every member of this board. We pray for unity among each other, a sense of harmony, a sense of peace. During this Christmas season, we pray, oh Father, that we will honor you, but we will honor others by adhering to the CDC guidelines and provide perfection and protection for those who we come in contact with. This is our prayer. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Supervisor Williams. All right. Moving right along to the approval of the November 2020 board orders. Anyone wants to make a second? Let me know at this time. If not, we need a motion in a second.
Motion for approval.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer. Second by Supervisor Mills. Any more discussion on the matter?
I didn't know how on section 24.
On the ladder
Did
meeting?
we ever decide how that was going to be funded? That's pertaining to the Skinner Creek. Skinner Creek, section 24. How is that going to be funded?
It's a foreign equipment.
Okay. I don't have anything else.
Got a motion and a second to approve board orders. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries 4-0. All right. Moving right along to our citizens, comment period time, where any citizen can come before the board for up to 3 minutes, and address the board about a concern, a complaint. Seeing that there are none, we'll move right along to the, American Financial Credit Services, Mr. Dean Frank.
Frank.
Yes, sir.
Want me to sit or stand or?
Just come on right up here and stand
Okay.
if you like. Whatever's more comfortable for you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Again, my name is Dean Prime, with American Financial Credit Services. Hope that Mr. Allen and his wife are doing okay. I'll say that. Thanks for the prayer. We do collections. Put a copy on your, in front of you with testimonials from, Greg Andrews of Lowndes County next door, and, Mike Lewis with Neshoba County. And just to give you a little background on our company, the owner of the company, Chris Williams, started out working for Blue Cross Blue Shield, where he was customer service rep. From there, for the medical industry, he went into auditing collection agencies. And he found that they were adding fees they shouldn't have, keeping money they shouldn't have, and treating people improperly. In the medical industry at that time said, Chris, if you ever start your own company, we will go with you, and that's what he did. And because of that, he wanted transparency. We have a web portal where you can see all of the accounts that you have is given to us with real-time notes of whoever we've spoken with. We record all our calls. So we're here to help out and take care of your customers, your taxpayers, your voters, but we're also here to help them get back in good graces if they have fallen into hard times. We have 77 counties in Indiana that we work for. We're out of Indianapolis, Indiana. We have 36 now in South Carolina. Just started in Mississippi. We have 9 counties on board and 2 pending contracts right now. And as a matter of fact, the new results that I've just given you, we just went over 1.1 million collected for Mississippi, really for about 6 counties during that span since March 1. So just here to do the same thing. If there's any questions, the word of mouth, like I said, from Greg Andrews and Mike Lewis is probably better than anything I could tell you, and our results. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions you might have.
So explain to me someone's delinquent, the process that you bring, pursue, you put them up on a payment plan, you put them up on.
The first thing we do is we send out letters with any addresses that you've given us. Then we will start skip tracing those accounts, trying to find the proper addresses, proper phone numbers, and we will start making phone calls to work with those, whether they be businesses or mobile homeowners. And we can take payment plans, so that helps them too. If they owe 5, 6 years of delinquents and they can't pay it all at once, we will help them get it back. And we pay you the oldest year first, so say they owe back to 2015. Once 2015 is paid, we send you that payment in full, continue to collect, send you 2016, and so on and so forth.
And your fee structure is?
It's 25%, and that's per Mississippi statute. We can add 50% if they're out of state. We don't do that. We're 25% across the board. And the good thing about once people do pay, let's say they come in and pay 6 years worth of delinquents. The next year they're gonna pay on time because they do not want to pay that 25% again. So the defaults actually go down. We all kind of say that we put ourselves out of business because the defaults every year go down. The first year we'll go back 7 years, more than likely, because that's what the statutes allow. So there'll be a lot of old things that will help you also get your tax rolls cleaned up. We clean those up, bankruptcies, deceased, out of business, mobile homes destroyed, moved, whatever it may be. We help to get those off your rolls, so those are time and effort that you no longer have to spend also. And we do that pro bono. We only make money if we collect.
Any other board member have a question?
Does the state law, only problem I have with it is adding the extra 25% on top of what they already owe. Does the state law allow for them to deduct the 25% from what they, I see where it says they can get it from what they collect.
They can get it out of you can add it over and above up to that amount.
But we can't just let it take away from what they collect and not add it to the taxpayer.
No, it has to be an addition, we have to get exactly what they owe us.
Well, that to me, that's counterproductive. I can see us giving 25% of what they collect, but adding 25% onto a bill that we haven't collected, that they probably can't pay already, to me, does not seem like it's in the best interest of the taxpayer. And I don't see why the law does not allow us to just take the 25% from what we collect.
We can't.
But I'm putting a bigger burden on the taxpayer.
We can't reduce our amount, that's the problem they run into, we can't reduce our amount to even have we can't even contract with him, because we've got to get exactly what he's owed.
We have to be made whole.
Don't,
Give your
the law, I'm
100%.
gonna catch the law, do it.
But that was the one, thing on page 5 that I did have a question about.
Mhm.
Myself.
The one thing that I can say too is that you have, say, two businesses, one's paying their taxes in full, and the other one has not been. And then all of a sudden you're gonna take the 25% out of that and give it to, so now you're only getting 75% where you're getting 100% from this business. That's one way of looking at things.
Is
as
your
well.
fee negotiable?
No, sir.
Okay, well, that's what I thought.
I had some concern also about the 25%, charging to the person that's in debt. Would there be a grace period where you would put individuals on alert to let them know that if it's not paid by a certain date, you will have to pay 25% of the outstanding balance?
That comes prior to it coming to us. That's up to the county to do that. That's up to the county if they would like to put that on the last notice.
But you would accept that? You would accept the county putting them on?
Prior to us
putting them
receiving
on
the
alert?
accounts, yes. Once the accounts come to us, then the 25% is added.
What would be that grace period that you would take before you, get involved?
Once we get the accounts in hand, then that's it. The grace period comes on your end, when the county is.
What's the delinquent in our?
Let's say somebody's had 7 years and they haven't paid, they've had 7 years of grace period, basically is.
Well, yeah, but they haven't had 7 years of having to pay the 25%.
And that's where I say
having
maybe.
to pay the 25%.
Correct, maybe
So-
on the last bill that is sent out by the county,
Yeah.
or a demand letter that says if not paid
If
within
not
30,
paid by-
if not paid within 30 days.
You will have to pay 25% of the outstanding balance.
Right, we've always say, if not paid within 30 days, this will be handed over to a third-party agency where additional fees may be applied. So again, it's a notice that again, the county can send out, and if it's not done then,
To me, that would be fair, but in addition to that, is to actually give enough time, and I guess that's for us to decide as a county, how much time we need to give them to be able to pay before we go into this collection process.
Mr. Williams,
Yeah.
this is a last resort effort. This is after the tax assessor has made, his effort in collecting these taxes and was not able to collect them, that he turns it over to the collection agency.
I understand, but again, the 25% of that outstanding balance are not gonna tax previously. So now we got a new thing.
This is 25% additional.
We just wanna look out for the taxpayers as much as we can, but at the same time be able to collect the outstanding balance.
And I think this is mainly personal property, which is business-related properties.
And again, these are not months behind, these are years,
Yes.
usually years behind.
Yes.
But I do think while we're discussing this, it's important to think about all the ones that we've had lately that have been such a big discrepancy. You know, one that I just called you about that went up 15,000 on their taxes in 1 year because of how they mapped it differently.
Right.
And they told the landowner, had they put 2 bales of hay out there, round bales of hay, just because the property was clipped, it wouldn't have been, you know, that much. So I think there's a lot of, and we've had multiple ones like that, where they are zoning the areas that are not commercial or, you know, development, they're zoning of that, and the taxpayer's getting a bill and doesn't know it, and they said, well, if you'd have come to us in June, we could have collected, but the taxpayer didn't have any notice in June. And I know I've called you about several properties like that, so I think that it's really important that, we think about all of this when I know this is a last resort,
Yes.
but, you know, we have one that we settled here at the board on that Claiborne property.
Yeah.
And we approved to go back, and they still have not gotten their reimbursement yet. So there's still an outstanding bill out there for that common area on that property. And, you know, they assumed this was taken care of, and I just contacted you about another one that happened the same way. So we need to make sure that, because we don't know that it hasn't been taken care of, and they just assume they're okay, but they keep proceeding to get that bill, and we certainly don't want to put them in this position where a collection agency is coming to get them.
Well, I wish, and he couldn't be here, our tax collector was here, but, do we wanna table this until next board meeting, until, Mr. Morgan can be in here and discuss?
Anything on this?
Just that, you know, we really have exhausted all measures of trying to get the money from people. We've called and, you know, they're aware they owe these bills, they just refuse, you know, they choose not to pay.
Are any of these ones that are being contested for any reason, or are these just people that are just not responding anymore?
They're just not responding. I mean, they know they owe it because they get a bill twice a year.
And one of the things
These are personal properties, not things that can go to the tax sale.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we will work with you all, if something is sent to us and they come in and say, hey, this is, you know, we're waiting and think, we'll put a hold on that account, we'll return it to you all. We're here to work with you to make sure that everything, like a lot of these other counties with mobile homes, they may have a homestead exemption and didn't know it. And when we get a call from the county, it says, oh, this should not be on the tax roll, then we immediately return it.
What would be the procedure for that? Would you need somebody from Alan's office to give you that
Yeah.
phone call if she gave you a call?
And again, all that is done through the web portal. There's a very simple process that hey, we'll put either RTC, which means return to client, or a hold on it until you all get back with us, you know, Alan's office gets back to us and says, no, this is collectible, or no, it isn't, please return it to the client, which then we automatically stop any process. We're not here to destroy people's credit, we're here to get them back in good graces or get them off your tax rolls. And like I said, that's where the person, Chris Williams, started the company, to work with people. I've had bad debt before, I got it paid back, I'm back in good graces, so I know how to, you know, treat people. One of the things I did when I started with the company was I did the actual collections. And I said to my friend Chris, I said, I don't know if I can do this. He says, treat them the way you would wanna be treated if you owe taxes. So that's what we do.
Well, we appreciate you coming today.
My pleasure.
I think there may be a little more discussion to be
Sure.
had on this, and in all
Let's just
fairness,
put it back on the agenda.
I think maybe in 2 weeks, we'll let our tax assessor,
Sure.
he would be here, gotta have a voice in it.
Understand.
But, I certainly appreciate you coming.
Make a motion, we table.
Motion by Supervisor Trammell, second by Supervisor Miller. All those in favor of table, say aye. Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, assessment changes, I guess that even 2 rounds, right? Everyone has seen in their packet the assessment changes out of the tax assessor's office. Need a motion in a second to accept those.
Well, this is a case in which we have, probably have talked about, related to this. This is a person that was, billed for having more land than they really had. This property, LLC, they really didn't have that much property, so they're being reimbursed. So I guess that's a thing that we probably need to make sure we clearing all of that up before we go into it.
We do, as far as I know. Anything that comes to me that we find a problem with, we correct.
Right, that's right.
I think some of the things maybe that come to the board that we approved, to correct, then maybe y'all are not getting, you know, maybe it's not getting followed through with. Because that's like this one property that, I got a notice in again this year, and last year it had been zoned in it's a common area. It's not development area, it's a common area. But it had been mapped and taxed that area, as the development part, but it's actually just a common area for the development. And so we approved to change that, to correct it to what it actually was. The board approved it, and to actually do a reimbursement. And, we were contacted this year that it had not happened, so we just need to make sure that that information flows all the way down to the chain. So maybe it was something that y'all weren't aware that we had already approved.
And I actually think Mr. Morgan did talk to the people you're talking to, or you're talking about, so as far as I knew, it was fixed and corrected, or what changes we made were the changes we did make, so.
Thank you.
motion for approval.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Miller, for approval of assessment changes. Any more discussion on that? Not all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimous. Sign those.
Good one, was that corrected this year? That was this year that they reached back out? It didn't show I'll follow back up with you after. I've reached out to Attorney Rock.
My understanding was is that they fixed it for this year, they just didn't, and this is kind of confusing to me, so you may can jump into it at some point. We can't go back and give money. This may be something we need to have a longer conversation about, because I know that we asked for a reimbursement for what that difference was, but I don't know that that's the policy that, but then, obviously, Alan's not here, so what we may need to do is just try to find that side of it out.
Yeah, it was corrected, that's what they said, this year it was correct. But for last year, when we approved a reimbursement, that had not been shown yet, and they were still waiting for that reimbursement.
And another thing that came up this year, and this is the part that I don't know how we break apart to make this better, but one of the things that came to the table was like, and I'll use this for an example. Dollar General comes in, a 1 acre piece of property skyrockets because that piece of property sold. The people that now live around it have property that now it's gone up, and they're claiming that they didn't get any kind of, by the time they're given notice of their assessment's gone up some substantial amount, it's too late for them to do anything about it until that following year.
Right, and it doesn't have any water or electricity, no development on it at all. So we just need to make sure that, those are the kind of things that worry me about, you know, we want people to develop property. You know, that helps us in the long run, but, instead they just lumped everybody together.
We'll get together and talk some more about it later, when Alan's feeling better. Cause some of this is statutory that he's required to follow, but I was under the impression that we have 3 years to look back, but that may not be the case, and I may not be
Well, no, yeah,
understanding.
you can go up to 3 years to refund money.
Right.
But the policy, the law is if we turn the rolls in July, you have until July to come in and look at your values. You agree or disagree with them, that's when.
I think at some point though, we're
August,
gonna.
when you finalize the roll, it's too late to do anything.
Right, but if you've got 3 years to look back on it, then that suggests to me that we could do if we wanted to, we just choose not to.
Well, but in July, those people that property is going up, they now know after the tax bill has come in, and they're like, oh my gosh, and they call and they say, well, you could have come and looked at this in July, but the year before it wasn't that way, so they didn't know to come and look at July,
Right.
and dispute it in July.
But the only thing the law says is that we have to put the road, what does it say, make the roads available?
Available July.
So we don't have to notify them, but we have to make the roads, so each year, I guess it has to be a
Well, I'll
comment on
put it
me,
in the- I'll
to
put
come
it
by
in the
every year.
paper.
to find out.
I think that's
Or
right.
for them to come
Yeah.
To come and view it and see
or
what the values
or,
are when you're.
or dispute it.
Every July, and I'll put it in the newspaper for them to come and view the tax roll.
And I think there are some times when we do need to look at that like that, and then the property next to it doesn't have any water, any electricity, on it. The tax value should not be the same as the property that the Dollar General's sitting on. I mean,
And some of this may have a statutory effect that our hands are tied on a lot of what we're doing, so it may be that we need to look at this and here's the problem. I think this is the ones that we're seeing mainly. If you are the guy that owns a piece of agricultural property and then you happen to have, for this example, Dollar General pop in and your property taxes go from one amount and then they jump $20,000 or $15,000 the next year, all of a sudden, you don't have a problem paying your taxes what they were the previous year, but now they've jumped up considerably. Maybe that would be the distinction as to if something like that happens, because how many Dollar Generals are you gonna get out?
and how many people a year are gonna see that type of increase? I think
Right.
those, maybe we need to look at notifying them so they are aware, and then they can come in and July,
I mean, to me, like, it seems like it's kind of somewhat backwards, I guess, because you don't get the notice that unless you're actively engaged.
Right.
Going to do that, but the average lay person does not do that.
Right, that's right.
So to me, it would be some type of law should come into effect where people will be noticed you know, at least a year in advance before they actually get the bill.
If it's a change.
Right, so in other words, I mean, I don't know whether, like my tax bill came out, you know, for this year, and there ought to be some kind of notice, let me know that, you know, in the next following year, because of changes in the environment or whatever,
Property or whatever.
your taxable is subject to increase. You know, and that way people will be put on notice, I know that may take a state, that's a.
So that's right, so
State
that's
law.
what
And because I think that, you know, it's pretty well known if there's a tax increase for a bond or something like that,
Right.
people know about that, they've read it in the newspaper, they've seen, but, and she does print it, but, you know, that there's gonna be a tax increase, it's in sums of the small, but you, on your property tax, if your property tax is going up that much, you know, you're not aware till you get that bill, and you get that bill, and the citizen calls, and they said, well, July, you could've come up and looked at the roll and disputed it then. So, that's what I'm just saying, we need to take into consideration that there are some instances like that, and it's not their office, it's not them, it's the
Right.
person that's going out and mapping it.
Right.
And they're looking at one thing and saying, okay, everything around it, you should pay this amount of money.
Right.
Well, that'll put those developers out of business if they, you know, are not want to develop property
It's
like
them in
that.
a really precarious situation, cause y'all didn't even know what it was gonna be until after that comes in as well. I mean, you're kinda caught flat-footed as well. We'll discuss this some more, if, just discuss this with the board.
We need to approve, the homestead deletion that was in your packet.
I'm not
So,
sure.
motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Trainer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, yeah, the refund is up.
I think we got,
We approve the refund.
okay, yes.
Refund for individuals.
Yes, we need to approve that refund. We got a motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Williams. Any more discussion on that? Not all those in favor say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
We got a little to discuss, I guess, in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Walker.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Robert understands this stuff a lot better than most do, but the problem is your average person has no clue of the taxes, so y'all, you're.
Things like that.
That's exactly right.
That's a deal. All right, election equipment, we got the election commission here. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are y'all this morning? I think it's supposed to be in the package, we got a proposal on buying new equipment. It's not, well, Sissy said she gave it to you, so she
What?
did. That may be the reason she didn't want to come this morning. Alright, well, I'll get it myself from Tony and can get it to you today, but, we've got, a lobbyist grant is 40 some odd thousand can go towards it. We've got this past year's HAVA grant money, and the state has HAVA grant money from the year before that people didn't use. And, it won't be enough to pay for all the machines. I can't remember the exact number right off. It's like 265,000, I think, is what he quoted us. But that would be going to the, what they call the precinct scanners, where it tallies all the ballots at each precinct, and it's, you've got an electronic count and you've still got a paper trail you can go back to. That's what all the big counties have went back to. This same system, and it's, you know, been tried and all, they've been using it for, I think Hines County's had it 4 or 5 years now, and they, you know, kinda got all the kinks worked out of it, so.
What's the name of the system?
It's ES&S, it's not Dominion, this is their competition, so. It's the same company we use now, but it's just, they don't even have the TSX equipment we use now. They're to the point of using salvage parts because those machines are 17 years old.
What was the name of it again, I'm sorry?
It's ES&S.
Okay, so, but right now, when the tickets come out of the machine, there's a total count for each, person at the top anyway. At all the precincts, you know, when
Yeah,
the.
when we printed
the
it that
ticket-
night, yes ma'am.
When the ticket comes out, there's a total count.
Yes.
This will just transfer that information.
This,
Instead of y'all having to scan the ballots, or you'll
well,
scan the
we'll
ballots.
still
that-
have, it'll be just like we do now, where they bring it back and we'll tally each machine at the courthouse. But it'll also be, they vote on a paper ballot and it scans that ballot. And then you lock that box up, so you've got all the paper ballots and they should match the.
So there's 3 ways, I mean, you've got paper ballot,
Yeah.
where somebody voted, you've got the printout that says how many's supposed to be in that machine.
That's right.
And then you have the electronic count too.
That's right.
So you have 3 different ways to go back if there is any confusion
Mhm.
to justify.
Yeah.
I think that sounds good to me.
And they've got a, one that prints out, and we have to have one per precinct for the Help America Vote Act. But it's one that you put in a little like the handicap machines, what it's, equivalent to. Somebody can't read, write, whatever, it's got a smaller paper ballot that's blank. You put it in the machine and vote on this little machine, which we'd only have one right now for each precinct. And then it prints it out, and you scan that small ballot into the same thing, so it's all one count.
Cause right now we don't have hand ballots.
No, not unless it's affidavit.
Right.
Affidavit.
And y'all think this is the more secure way to go in the future?
And that's another thing, it'll be even the absentees, the way they have it set up, you can vote the absentees that way. And, they've got, they call it B.O.S, a ballot on demand, it's a system in the printer that we only have to order so many ballots, then if we run out, we won't have to have hand tallied any, we print more at the courthouse.
Let me ask you this, will the absentee ballots look the same as the paper ballot?
They
or
will,
it
it'll just be a different color or something, they have to be.
They will distinguish something.
We have to, those statute, they have to be distinguished by color or whatever. That's right now, the affidavits and the absentees are exactly the same except for the color paper.
Okay.
Alright, so, boiling this down and listening to our administrator over here, she said we need to advertise.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to bid it out or whatever, yeah, I thought you
So
would,
we'll
yeah.
advertise for bid. So I need a motion and a second to do just that. A motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Williams, to advertise this new, electronic or the new equipment
Yeah.
that will, be more secure. And certainly, as of recently, we definitely need to do that with our elections.
Well, and we've messed around this time, we've known for the last several years we're gonna have to do something, but this past time we had 10 machines that just completely quit. And we just had them all serviced in August, I mean, it's just.
And the maintenance on the machines that we've got now, and quite honestly, the machines that we have now are very, very, very dated
Yes.
machines. They've been dated for quite some time
Yeah.
now, and so this is something we knew we were gonna need to do, and, this is as good a chance as
Yeah.
any. So-
And this next year we're not scheduled to have any election unless it's school board, but, at least it'd be something small, we could kind of phase it in, but
Trial.
it won't be a big deal, but, yeah, I think we're to the point we gotta do something. And like I said, we've got not enough money with the grants to pay for all of it, but it'll be a large portion of it.
The biggest share of it.
Yeah, and when you get to that point, if y'all don't mind, when you bring us the high bid back, bring the information so we can actually see it, some type of demonstration.
Alright.
So have
Yeah, we can,
whoever y'all want to, have them come in and actually show us.
Do we need to bid it out before he comes, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't.
Well, we know we're bidding for this equipment, whether he's the one that supplies it or not, so it really don't matter.
Okay.
He can go ahead and come on, because this is the type of equipment y'all want.
Yes, ma'am.
One thing I want to say, we've got $195,000 in grants to help with this, what we think is gonna be $165,000 versus $150,000 of it we have to, spend and get reimbursed for.
That's right.
$45,000 we already got. So, in the end, we're only gonna be out like $70,000 of
Yes,
county
ma'am.
money to get these.
Yes, ma'am.
I think it's important to ensure elections, people feel confident, and like I said, when we get to that point, if the election commissioners don't mind bringing in and having so we can have that more widely covered in the newspaper, exactly how this new system will work. And it will ensure confidence in our voting system here.
We can contact him today, the company that we've already looked at, if y'all want him to come next meeting, or if y'all prefer to wait till January, or.
I think January, whatever y'all think.
Just whatever, I'll call him and set it
Whatever's
up.
better for him, if he wants to come next meeting.
Okay.
If not, then wait for it.
Okay.
We do have a motion and a second out to take bids for this equipment. Any more discussion on it? If not, all those in favor, say aye. Motion carries unanimously.
We appreciate it, Charlie.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, sir.
Williams.
Thank you all for coming for.
right, road manager's report, Mr. Baggett. Good morning.
Good morning, boys.
You've all seen the report by our road manager. I looked through it. If you got some questions, you all need to ask.
I just wanted to request that we, you go in and repair Silver Ridge Road, please.
Yes.
We please put that down as a priority, that the login's gone and it's torn that road up so much. And Mr. Baggett, you put in, pay increases for employees. And I'm not saying that I won't support it, but what I'd like to do is before the next meeting, before we do approve it, because I know that some foremen, this is an $8 difference from a foreman in a different area, to pay them $8 difference. What I'd like Ms. Emily to do is give us in each area what these employees are currently making, and all of their counterparts. I do think that this appears to be one shop where, you know, a lot of the increases were happening, and I think we need to make sure that we don't do things to, decrease morale across the whole thing. I know we did a across the board pay increase for everybody, and I know we did another 3%. You know, several years ago, we went back and raised their pay. So I know that, you know, for a foreman that's in my area that, you know, is doing a good job, for another foreman in another area to get an $8 increase and this foreman not to be considered, it's gonna make him feel like it's not gonna create a good environment. And, so what I would like to do, if it's okay with the board, is just ask Ms. Emily and you to supply some more. I know you gave information, but some of it to me just sounds like they're doing a good job, which is what they should be doing anyway. There's one gentleman on here that, doesn't appear to be an equipment operator or a truck driver, and, he's going up to $15 an hour. So I'd just like to get some type of spreadsheet. I'm asking the board if we can table this till next week. I'd just like to have some more information, just simply because I understand that sometimes we give pay increases, and I think that we did a big overhaul. But I think if we're telling people on a mass, county employees on a mass level, there's no money out there for increases this year, you know, and we're telling people that no matter where they work in the county, but we're selectively picking 2 or 3, we need to be really, really careful on what we're doing, and we need to have not just justification, but I'd like to see in each position, in each shop, what those current employees are making. That's all I'm asking, is that we table it and get that information before the next board meeting, before we approve these pay increases, because they are significant.
All right, anything else from anyone else? Now, I will say this on the gentleman that's getting, and I do believe it's a $6 an hour raise, he is, and I'll speak on him, he is a remarkable employee. I mean, you ask him to do something, quite honestly, you don't really have to ask him to do it. He's calling you, you know, about the things that need to be done or things that you have not considered. So I mean,
And I'm not disagreeing with that, but I have had some of them call and say, you know, can we get raises this year? You know, are we gonna get raises this year? You know, other than the 3%, because they feel like an employee in their mind, every employee feels like that they're doing a good job. And so, you know, I just think that we need to have all that information in front of us before we vote as a whole, to give some significant increases and others are not gonna get them. I'm just asking that we wait a week and gather all the information from it.
So are we going to do individual assessments of each employee?
Well, he just highlighted several employees. I just would like to know just in a spreadsheet, what each foreman in each shop is making and when they became foreman. You know, just like we did before, it's just on an Excel spreadsheet. Each truck driver, what are they making? You know, and what year did they start? That's all I'm asking for before next meeting. And then we can go back and look and see. I know that he has selected several employees in the road department he'd like to give merit increases to, and he's given us his reasoning. But I'd like to look at it across the board, just in a big picture, before next week. Is that okay?
Well, I don't have a problem with it, but at the same time, you know, are we wanting to pay everybody the same? or we wanted to make a distinction between the job performance? What is the intent?
What is I have a problem with who gets it, who don't get it, when they get it, if we're gonna, everybody gonna get 3% across the board. At some point, everybody in the county is gonna be making way too much money and the county can't afford it.
Well, did we ever get the numbers back on that assessment?
It's gonna be February, so I don't know what the policy's supposed to be anymore on who gets raises, who don't get a raise.
Well, I know the policy in the book says if we give them that raises for the year have to be submitted before the 3%. I do know that that's our policy, our employee policy in the book. It says that the employees sign off on, that if you're gonna get a merit increase, that must be presented to the board for the annual 3% increase, and of course, this is coming after.
And what constitutes a merit increase? If you're doing your job? I'm really confused.
Can we just gather some more information?
Well, we can gather some information, but I think we're gonna still be right at the same point we are now, because everybody's interpretation is different. And I respect Mr. Daggett for submitting his recommendation, but of course it's up to the board to determine that. But I really think that we, and Ms. Emmett, I do take a little concern with the statement you made about county not being able to pay them. I think that what we have to do, we have to look at it from a different perspective. We have to encourage people to pursue and encourage people to seek and to be as aggressive as they can to seeking increasing their skills and being better productive in the county. You know, that's my approach, and I think that does a very, goes well to help the citizens be able to get all that they can get by way of the service that we provide, but we provide service. And there's no other way to enhance service providing other than the salaries and some other incentives that we provide. But I do think that in order to accomplish and be fair about it, we may need to do some more aggressive assessments of different employees. Because you made mention about a foreman, and of course, you know, no one on this board, none of us are the same. But to really get more aggressive, we're going to have to do some stronger individual assessments on each and every employee, you know, in this county. And then we can make the determination that will justify salaries and increases and things of that nature. But to across the board and compare apples to apples and that type of thing, I think I don't think that's the way.
I don't think I'm asking to compare apples to apples. I really am just asking in that position across there, you know, because, you know, a foreman in my area, he's going to be making $9 an hour less than a foreman in another shop. You know, and he feels like that he's doing a good job. And I have recently have gotten a lot of phone calls from people that said, hey, he came and did this, he did a very, very good job. You know, that people are satisfied with what he's doing. The consumer is satisfied with what he's doing.
I know.
You know,
now, a couple of months ago, his supervisors weren't satisfied with it.
Right, but he's turned this around.
Okay.
So, I mean,
But
I just want something to go by for everybody.
I don't think you'd be able to do that. One size fits all.
Well, there's a gentleman that went to $15 an hour.
Who was that?
He got a CDL. He got a CDL.
Yeah, he picked up a
And
CDL.
so,
Yeah, that's what
you
happened.
know, if we don't pay him that, he's gone.
I don't have.
you know, the other thing I'd like to see too is in each shop, you know, when we break it down, the spreadsheet, which I don't think it'll be very hard to do because all you got is print it off and it has their positions beside it and group them together. I'd like to also know, you know, in these shops where they do they have all of the most advanced people? Do they have the employees that have been there the longest? Do they have the employees that have the, you know, the technology for motor grader drivers, you know, not just somebody? That's what I would like to see is how long these people have been doing these positions. You know, because if you take in a shop like, the shop that I have, if we don't have, in the shop in my area, if we don't have a motor grader driver that has been there a long time, then maybe that foreman's having to get back on the motor grader and drive the motor grader, okay? Which was maybe what he came off doing, you know, and he was a great motor grader driver, right? But if he doesn't have somebody, but in another shop, you've got 2 motor grader drivers, you know, and you've got people that have been there a really long time with him, you've got more skilled employees, you know, than you do in other areas. You know, the amount of employees that are in each shop, that's all I'm asking for is, before we make this decision, because I know it's gonna be some really disappointed people out there. If I vote on this, I wanna make sure that I have all the information, or just some additional information, that's all I'm asking for.
And in a lot of cases though, going back to what you just said, there are people that are capable of becoming motivated operators, but they're not interested in doing it. There are people that are capable of getting their CDLs, but they're not interested in doing it. And so, I mean, I'm not a analyst or anything like that of labor, of people in different positions. And I agree with what you're saying. I mean, I had some challenges with this because it's gonna do exactly what you said, but if you have a man that's making $20 an hour and he's patching potholes all day, and that's all he wants to do, and he wants an increase, he really, I don't know, I don't
Well,
see
I
what
don't think
people.
that's all that we're talking about. I don't think that we're
Yeah.
talking about a man that's, I think we're talking about men that we're putting all the pressure on to make sure in one of the largest areas, you know, to make sure that they're doing. I just would like additional information is all I'm saying. I wanna make sure, this is gonna disappoint a lot of people.
I wanna make sure
This is
too,
gonna make a few people very, very happy if I vote on this, but it's gonna disappoint a lot of people, and I wanna be able to say, hey, well, this is why.
Right.
So, that's all I'm asking for.
And I'll add a caveat to that, is, speaking of the foreman that we share, and I believe they have done a 180, okay? And I've expressed that to them on a personal level, just in passing when I see them. Would you consider adding, I guess, let's table this for a moment, and take a broader look at other shops, other foremen, and people in their shop, and consider maybe giving a broader range. I still approve everyone that's in here, I get that, but could we
Well, I
take a
work.
broader stroke at that and
Yeah.
to prevent what Supervisor Miller is
Right.
talking about?
Well, it's not just road employees, everybody,
That's right.
it's countywide. And that's my problem with it, it's countywide. You can't just concentrate on the road department, everybody's working hard.
That's right.
What do we judge their raises on? Just annual? Or do we give them a raise when they think that they deserve a raise? How do we go with this?
Well,
I get what you're-
Qualifies to make more money?
I get what she's saying, because it's harder to say that they do great paperwork when you
Well-
don't see the paperwork versus someone who did great work on the road and it's something concrete that I can look at.
And I will say, when we asked about this several years ago, Supervisor Trainer was sitting beside me, we actually had the conference here at the mill, and it came up, and I stood up and I said, how many other counties give a 3% increase every single year? I'm a state employee myself. We've had lots of years without 3% and never get a merit increase unless you've done something like an educational increase or something that takes you to a next, but I'm still expected to perform more each year. I mean, that's my responsibility, is to make sure that I perform more each year. So I did stand up and ask, and they said, there were very few counties, was it probably maybe 5 or less? And some of them do every other year, because you do get to the point where, like Miss Emily was saying, that your payroll is so high, you don't have the money to buy your equipment, for them to use. You don't have the supplies to fix the roads and things like that. So, I want to be able to give the employees, all of the employees increases. And I think that we do a great job giving them 3% every year. But I would like to just see this information on a different spectrum.
Or you're gonna have to talk your positions on.
Okay.
Could you
Not the
explain?
positions that this position's gonna pay from this to this.
And
And
that's-
you can't make no more than this.
Right, and that's another thing too, is that, we move them to a different position, or you eliminate positions. I know that that's what, I've had to do because I have an amount of allotted payroll money that I have to work with. And so if you want to do something different, you either pay those employees and you have fewer, and you pay them to this position, and you eliminate some positions, which frees up additional payroll money to do things like this. Do we need less and pay them more? if that's what we're trying to strive to do, to pay our people more and hold their standards even higher, you know, do we do that? Or do we have more and pay them on a lower level, a lower, you know? I think there's a lot of things for us to look at when we look at this.
One of my staff thinks they work hard and just as hard as the road department staff.
Sure.
Or maybe harder. They don't get a lot of the benefits the road department staff gets. So, how are we gonna equal this out to make all the staff happy?
That's true. It is something that we just need to think about, and like I said, I'd like to see that spreadsheet. If that's okay, we can table it until next meeting.
Supervisor Williams will say something.
Supervisor
Well,
Williams?
yes, all of these payroll changes seem to be within the normal range of what we normally do, except employee, of course, employee 888. That was a question for me too, in terms of how does he compare with other individuals, and what makes his merit so great. And there was a question also about employee, I want to know more about him, 314, employee 314.
Okay.
I wanted to know more about him, I just didn't have any information. I guess of what is he gonna be working, what will be his responsibility?
Well, going back to what, Ms. Miller said, the number of employees in the road department has decreased, and I do look toward increasing the abilities of everyone, so we can have fewer employees to cover this. And so, when I came, the truck drivers were primarily truck drivers. And we still have one or two that it's very difficult to get out of the truck to do anything but truck drive.
Right, and I think you've answered my question, I
Right.
appreciate it.
Right.
I appreciate it, that this individual's a truck driver,
Right.
and he also does additional work other than being a truck driver.
Right, before,
And truck drivers are hard to come about for us
Right.
to keep them here
yeah,
with the cattle with the CDL license and what they can do. So I think all these other pay changes seem to be within the normal range of things except employee 888.
mhm.
And we're gonna table one, I think it should be tabled only 888 in my opinion. So I want a motion for approval on all of the pay changes, or payroll changes except, employee 888 until we get additional information that Supervisor Miller talked about.
Well, if I can, a little discussion to add to that, and he's made his motion. So employee 888 is, in my opinion, I'm gonna say the best foreman I've ever dealt with. I've dealt with a lot of good ones, and I've got two great foremen. But he is someone that, I don't know how else to say it, he is someone who goes above and beyond really the call of duty. Am I out of?
No, you're not,
out of?
and to give a prime example, a machine broke down the other day, and normally a foreman would just push the machine to the side, call the mechanic, my machine broke down. This particular foreman was proactive, got into his truck, went, found the part. I mean, he wouldn't stop until he did it. So it's that kind of assertiveness that moves the road department ahead, and so.
I mean, I agree, I've heard, Mr. President, I've heard great things about employee 888 also. But, if we could kind of look at a comparison in terms of how he is receiving pay increase as compared to other farmers too as well. And he might deserve a pay increase, but does he deserve $6? That's really a big jump. I'm sure he does deserve a pay increase, but I've heard wonderful things about him. Everybody seems to speak highly of him. And not that I don't think he deserves a pay increase, it's just that I'm wondering, does he really deserve a $6 pay increase?
My staff deserves to be paid a raise.
We're hearing this, Emily, that's why we're asking for additional information.
Yeah, I understand that, but
You don't
but there has to be a
understand, no.
request submitted. There has to be a request submitted. I wanna commend Mr. Baggett for at least bringing the request to the table.
And I will say this, it is not an easy thing to do. I mean, you know, how to say what a person should make or not. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do. And I dread doing it, and I have no problem with what Ms. Miller is saying. I mean, it would be a big help to me if the board could, you know, kind of, guide me along the way. Cause I don't necessarily want to look at a man and say, well, this man is worth this, cause I don't want anybody looking at me like that, you know. So,
I think that's where, and we're getting this consensus to, I do believe they're gonna do another updated, you know,
I asked Ms.
where
Emily,
we're
could
at
they have
on
it
pay.
prepared before next board meeting, maybe at least for the road department. She said February, so.
Yeah, they're having trouble getting, information back from other counties right now. Right now, they've received information back on 14 counties and they're wanting 20.
But, well, I guess my main point is this, when I was at the city, you had a scale. In other words, you came in as a firefighter at this number, you maxed out at that number. In other words, different ranks had scales. You know what I'm saying? So within the parameters that were set. And that's what really spurred people on to want to get to that next rank, want to get that new responsibility. And so I think that's where we're somewhat lacking, you know, just to be fair to the process, is that we need to be able to have these parameters like Supervisor Trainer was talking about, Supervisor Miller. I don't have a problem with any of the raises that I see in here, including employee 888. But back to my point, I think we need to maybe look at all of the road employees, all of the county employees. That would be my reasoning for, at the moment,
And
tabling it.
to your point, you know, that's what they do in other places, is they pay to the position, not to the man. So in other words, in my position, you're paid to that position, and if you look at any of those positions, there's a salary range and they pay to the position. And we actually have that, it's an old book, I think it was done before I became a supervisor.
About 6 years ago.
So, Miss Emily, can we pull those out and see what the pay range is on those positions? Because that would eliminate the problem, Mr. Baggett, or would not put you in the middle so much, is if we paid to the position, which is how a lot of people have that set up. This is the range in that position. If you want to a higher rate, you've got to move to another position. And you've got to get to that position by increasing your knowledge or additional skills or this type of thing that moves you to that position.
And it would spur people to sometimes get out of the comfort of that 18-wheeler with the radio playing all day. It just, and look, that's not to take away, because CDLs are hard to come by. You know, people that work for the county that has these CDLs, I know is a base component of being able to move.
Because there are people that like what they do and do not want to be in that management position or that more responsibility position. Wonderful employees that want to do that. And they know that that is within the scale that they're in that position. And that they're 3% annual, but if they want to increase their amount of pay, they've got to move themselves to a different position.
And on the other hand, you've got people that do not want to move up, but they've been here for so long and getting these raises, they've already capped what they should have been making in that position.
Right.
It's
That's
getting
right.
paid way more than what they should be in that position.
Let's see if we can, maybe before next board meeting, see what the students, if they have enough information to provide something.
Some framework.
So, yes.
That being said, ladies and gentlemen, what do we want to do here?
Well, Supervisor Williams had a motion on the table.
To approve everything except 888?
I'd like to wait.
Would you consider 888? I mean, and he's a great employee. best that I've ever seen.
You want to approve everything right now today?
So wait, table it.
I mean,
If we're gonna do anything and look at anything different, if we're gonna keep on going like we are, then.
won't we, he does have the motion, just do we have a second? Second by Supervisor Chambers. To approve the payroll changes except 888, if I'm hearing that correct?
That's what we're just thinking.
I don't,
Could.
yeah, and I
If I
don't.
could also make a statement in regards to that. Just because a person hold the same position doesn't mean that they should have the same kind of merit. So I'm sure you have a reason why you consider 888 to have more merit than some of the other individuals who hold the same position. So could you bring some kind of justification in terms of what you consider this person to have? Why do you consider this person to have more merit and deserve more of a raise?
I can say.
I'm sure you can, because he's a good employee.
Right.
And I just wanna make sure that we have voted on him and his merit, and not based on him and his position.
Well, most of it is going to that point, except for about $1.50. It's, and let me explain $1.50. We have, there's a lot of, problem with some employees are making way more than they probably earn.
Well, in that position, Mr. Becker, why don't you start documenting them and eliminating those positions, those employees? And find other, and I'm just asking, you've made a really tough choice right here to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, and so why don't you bring it to the board and say, you know, and do that? If they're not.
I'm supposed to have the wherewithal to do that, but, I mean, you take a man's job or something, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
It's a huge.
Right.
But you didn't take his job, is what you're saying, he's not performing.
That's
What
hard,
the
that's
problem
already
is,
thing to
Is
dismiss
instead
the
of
person.
being
You gotta sleep
able
at
to
night.
correct the
Yeah,
person
it's hard
that's
to do.
making too much, the solution that we're taking is taking the people that really the better employees and bringing them up to the pay of the person that maybe not be worth what he's getting paid.
well, and I'll say this, I'll add this, there's times where employees that deserve raises, and not you, Mr. Baggett, I'm just saying, people that were overlooked for years. You know, that sometimes we're trying to get them back where they need to be. But again, to what Miss Emily's saying,
That's what we
to a
do.
certain degree is correct. But,
That's what we do.
It's not an easy thing.
so,
You might even do his math and compare his salary after the raise with yours.
Let's move on now, let's start talking about
Sit down and meddle.
You might need a
we have a
raise.
motion and a second to approve these payroll changes, if I'm hearing this correct, except 888. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, that's more.
I would ask to amend the motion to include 888.
I'll second that amendment.
I accept it, well, whether or not I accept it.
And then I would ask,
Whether or not I accept the amendment. Are you asking me
I'm
to
asking,
accept the amendment?
I'm asking.
Yes, I will. Accept the amendment.
And then I'm also asking if Mr. Baggett will take a broader look at maybe some of the other foremen that have taken a turn and give them and some of their crew maybe a little bit of a raise as well in the future. But that again, that's in his realm. I'm asking.
And it's in y'all's road budget now.
Right.
So we're proving all of this.
So we're proving everybody. Okay. So the motion.
She made a statement, we are approving all the payroll.
Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Wait, well, no, let's not lump them together because, you know, I had asked for us to wait, because I think it's fair that we take a broader approach from the beginning, so, you know, I'm not gonna vote against the sheriff, I'm talking about the road department. All of these 4 or 5 employees in the road department, so I don't want to lump them all together, so I do ask that, since we did not wait for 2 weeks, so we could take a broader look and wait, see if we can get the Senate Institute study back. I would like for just to do the, that motion just to be for the road department.
Well, the sheriff department is just a
This guy just quit.
Well, okay, I understand, but,
So I'm gonna approve that regardless, we have to.
well, I understand that, but I was just saying.
That's a termination.
I don't have any heartburn over the people who are getting a raise. I guess the thing that I would like, and I will approve these, but I was asking if some of the others who have, you know, they've gone from down here to up here, okay? There's still some room to grow, and I've told them that. But I appreciate the turn in the last, I'd say 4 to 5 months that I've seen, 4 months that I've seen, when we had a heart to heart, you know, some of the stuff that I got told, I needed to hear, you know, and, it was a 2-way street, you know, and so I feel this person's deserving of a raise in the future, is all I'm saying. But everyone that I see here, this person's got a CDL, someone's been there 18 and a half years, employee 888, I don't have a problem with it. So we got a motion and a second to approve these payroll changes. I'll approve that. All in favor, say aye. I'm in there. Any opposed?
I oppose, and I'd like the notes to show it, because I believe that we needed to take a broader look prior to selectively picking out a few employees to raise to.
And certainly point noted, and I will extend that again to ask Mr. Baggett to do that. Did we approve the road manager's report? I don't believe we did.
So moved.
Got a motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Miller.
I have observation. You call for the.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, you haven't called. That's okay.
No, I mean,
I do have.
if you wanna talk on the road.
I do have something,
Let's go ahead and we'll approve the road manager report.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries on that. And all on that.
Mr. Baggett, I'd like for you to look at, a situation on Ridge Road. Maybe you don't know a lot about repairing cattle gaps, but we do have them on county roads. We do have them on county roads, and there's one on Ridge Road that is out of service and is not functioning.
The county, I think you need to research the law. I think the county is only required to repair those if they're on the levee. I believe was what the state law is. Rob, can you check on that?
And I will, but I think there's also, if, in this I'm not sure about this situation at all, so before I say this, understand, I'm just trying to catch up. If it's something that we removed, in other words, if it was something that we removed and that we're replacing, that would be one thing.
It's my understanding that we put it there. I'm sure we did. If it's on county road, this is not a 911 road. This is on a county road.
Okay.
So I'm sure we put it there.
Do you know where we're talking about?
I do, and it's in the road, it's not on the map. I mean, it's right in the middle of the road.
Yeah, it's in the middle of the road.
And it's been that way, I guess.
All right, I'll check into it and see, but, I didn't know that we had them in the middle of the road
Yeah,
somewhere.
I know Mr. Baggett probably, wasn't familiar with a lot of them neither, but we down to maybe about 1 or 2, or you might have some in your district, maybe. That's not the only one now, I'm allergic to the fact.
So
But
they
there
have
are
one.
others.
Okay.
So we need some welding work done on it, or you need?
These are wood.
Well, the wood part need to be repaired, so it can actually function, and I hate to say it, but to keep the cattle from,
And so the cars can get by as well.
yeah,
I mean,
cars need to get by, it's
All right, let me play catch up here for a second. We actually have a cattle gap on a public road.
more than one.
That the cows we know are getting in the road.
Yes.
And that's to keep them from going further down our road.
To keep them from getting
Getting
in the
into the
road.
road.
Oh,
And
okay.
causing someone to
So this
hit
is on
them.
the side to keep them off the road?
This is right in the middle of the road. I mean, it's right in the road. I mean, you driving down the road and cross cattle.
This to keep someone from hitting the cattle that they cross over that cattle gap and into a particular section. Someone is gonna be driving, someone is gonna be driving down the road and hit one of those cattle.
Didn't know we were still free ranging cattle.
I have no
I tell them,
idea.
Yeah, we're not.
Where he's talking, there's a paddock on this side,
Well,
so they feed this, they graze this off, then they
Travel across the
push
road.
them across the
But
road.
the normal thing was that they would open gaps and just drive them across there,
But
not the
this-
county. That's-
This one is right in the, this one is right in the road. This, this cow, this, thing that we talking about, it's right in the road. It's not to the side. It's in the, it's right.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to,
Yeah.
I'll do some checking on it.
Yeah,
I just,
and
this is
we're gonna
probably
have
for.
to, I think we'll have to decide on whether or not we're gonna continue to be responsible
Yes, sir.
for upkeeping them, or whether or not we're gonna remove them and require that the person fence his cattle in. Now, that's a big issue there, once we make that requirement.
I'll try to get us an opinion on that, to find out what is, that's a southern thing, it's gotta be a southern thing, so.
That is something, but that's a situation, that's a situation we're in.
It's in the road. It's not on the
Yes,
road.
sir.
All over up to our cow.
And then
I'll check into
when the
it,
cow
see what
gets
we can
stuck in
figure
it, they
out.
want us to pay for it too.
Right.
Okay, who pays for it? I'll check all that
I'll
out.
check that. Anything else?
I'm sorry, this is one of those I had to.
I had one thing. We've got, the pull trucks came in. We got 4 of them. I thank the board. Now I'd like permission to auction the 4 off that we currently have.
They're pretty much, let me ask you this, do we need to keep any of them, of those 4 for perhaps a backup, or could we utilize that? I'm asking, no.
We actually had 5 and we only got 4, so we are keeping one of the older trucks. But not just, we just bought 4 instead of 5.
So we're gonna auction 4,
We're gonna auction 4.
so we need to give him permission, we need a motion and a second to get rid of them. Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Trainer. Any more discussion on the matter?
Timeline on fixing Silver Ridge Road, any idea?
I would suggest that we get some quotes from the auction company to make sure we're getting the best deal.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye. Motion carries.
I was thinking about this morning, just as soon as we can get through it.
Well, we're gonna have to wait till temperature gets, make sure the temperature's warm enough. We need to really fix that.
Right.
The taxpayers had just repaved that road last year for the logging, the log trucks, so.
Yeah, it's gonna be 60 degrees toward the end of the week. I think we might be able to get it working in, and we're trying to get the bridge in for Mr. Williams. I mean, I'm sorry, Mr.
Thank you.
One more thing.
We need to re-advertise for the tractors,
Yes, the Clippers.
the clippers, or whatever we need to
Okay.
re-advertise for.
Besides the
So we'll.
motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Williams to advertise for the side, clippers. Any more discussion on that? Not all those in favor say aye. Motion carries.
Real quick, just an update on, the Trail Boss trailer that we were discussing last time.
Yes.
I have contacted them 3 times. I don't know if you had this kind of issue dealing with this, but getting them to contact me back has been difficult. And I did talk to a young lady, that's supposed to get back with me today. We do, after talking to, Mr. Baggett, we do need the trailer back. If, what I'm gonna request them to do is reduce the amount of their bill based on the fact that they didn't get a PO. I mean, that's gotta be approved at some point, but the issue is they did more work to that trailer than we asked them to do. And so I've asked him Mr. Baggett to give me an idea of what would be a fair compromise to deal with that on. They haven't responded back to me yet, so I didn't want y'all to think we haven't talked to them. They've just been a little bit more difficult to.
I guess a fair assessment would be this, is, in looking at that, is if that much was wrong with that trailer, there's no way it would have made it to where it was, we'll say.
Without a purchase order, everything they did was without being asked to do it.
That's right.
And I have researched on our end, and I've asked them to provide something, and they've not provided anything other than we have a requisition for a purchase order, but there's not a purchase order. Is that fair enough way to
We
say
can
that?
get the requisition for the purchase order to after
Right,
it's
this is
done.
totally, the numbers don't even line up.
No.
So, hopefully we'll get an answer on that. I just didn't want y'all to think that we're not doing anything. It's just a matter of getting them to respond.
Anything else for the road manager? If not, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next clerk business, Ms. Livingston.
I have a couple of things. First, I need to acknowledge that we didn't have no CD for November and the funds remain the same.
Acknowledge my
So moved.
motion by Supervisor Cameron, second by Supervisor Williams. All those in favor, say aye.
And also, I need to get a board order to request to advertise for the depository account for 12 and 24 months.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Miller. Any discussion on that? Not all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And that's all I have.
What was the last one again? Advertised for what?
The depository account for 12 and 24 months.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
And that's all I have.
County Business Administration,
Can we raise,
the mayor.
yes, the resolutions to the top?
Sure, come on back.
I just enjoyed visiting you guys.
Thank you.
And it is, I don't need to sit for very long. I think I provided, the resolution, to Ms. Emily. I think she put it in your packet. This is just simply a support resolution for the effort of, two, particular projects that our representative suggested that we do something, that we hadn't been, offered, any funding from state in quite a while, and we looked to projects to, see what might be the board's pleasure, my board's pleasure, and those two rose to the surface, or rose to the top. And so, I am, not doing nothing more than working with our legislators to see if these are things that they would find, amenable, that they would be amenable to supporting us with. And they are a new library, which obviously is our Octavia County Library, which certainly is, something that we believe is important. The library has not been, well, it was 60 years. It's at least that old, and so clearly all of our, needs are more technologically, required now, that we just don't have the opportunity to meet. The libraries have become much more than they ever were before based on this, and we partner with MSU. So Dr. Keenum has been kind enough to provide a letter of support. This would be something that would service our, all of our, residents who don't have access to internet, don't have access to computers and that sort of thing. So I think it's certainly a beneficial project for, the entire county, including certainly the city. And then the other items were two roads that would be extended, Hospital Road to 25 and Stark Road up to Meade Hospital Road if we were able to manage that. So, you know, both of them are large dollar projects. One of them is, they're both estimated, but, the WAG is not that wild. One of them is, $8 million for the library and about $20 million for extending roads. So, and that's improvements to Stark as well as extension of Stark and extension of hospital. So, those are just things that we think would probably be beneficial to economic development, to the hospital for access, and so that's what we were trying to go forward with. So, that is nothing more than asking for your support, as these are ideas that are beneficial to Ocklawaha County in addition to the city of Starkville as your county seat.
I just wanna say, Mayor, we appreciate your leadership that, through my 2 terms, the partnership projects that we've done together you know, we get more done when we work together, and we're much more beneficial. And I know that we've done a lot of projects together, and I appreciate your vision and the board, the alderman's vision on, helping to move the city and the county and this state, all of us working together, move forward in a common direction. I definitely wanna support your resolutions.
Well, I appreciate that, and we do better when we all work together. Obviously, we all rise and fall together. You want your county seat to be as strong as it possibly can be, and so we certainly want the county to succeed as well. So thank you very much for your consideration of this.
So that being said, let's just tackle them one at a time. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Thank you,
for
Mr.
that.
President.
The resolution on Highway 25 and Stark Road, I need a motion in a second for approval, for our, support, of this, which, you know, for years I've always thought that was a spot in Starkville that is just, you know, right for growth, you know, and, so what a plan, you know, my plan was, in my little head was to extend Stark Road back into, and you can't come around to Reed Road, but punching it all the way out to Highway 25 just takes it to the next level. So certainly I'm in support of it, so we need a motion in a second to do just that. Motion for Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Trainer. Any more discussion on this matter?
Yeah, I do have a question. 20 million is a lot of money. Do you have a backup plan as the legislators did not, doesn't look like, I hate to be negative, but
Well, no, I
20 million is a lot,
understand.
so.
20 million is a lot.
If we don't get 20 million, then what we gonna do? This is a worthwhile, let me say however, this is a worthwhile project. This project needs to be done.
Yes,
For economic development on that side.
yes.
On that side and that area too as well. But,
Well, if I may, if we were to break it up, let's say, you would break it up into Hospital Road as one project, and then Stark Road Extension to the north as another project.
right,
And that would break it up rather significantly, and that's a possibility as well.
right. Cause I just wonder what the backup plan for financing is.
Well, at some point in time, because this also includes improving Stark Road, and at some point in time, the city will do that with or without additional state funding, because it's important that we do that. Now, extension is a whole nother thing, because what you gotta do is the people who own the property that would be extended into both Hospital and Stark, are not going to be willing to do that unless that road goes through. So we're gonna have to have those funds available to punch those roads on through before it makes sense. And Hospital would obviously be the first one to go through, because without it, Stark would end up being, you know, dead ending nowhere. So, the Hospital Road portion would probably be the most important for us to do, for access to the hospital at the very least, plus east-west access for our emergency vehicles for other reasons, you know, and ease of access to getting anywhere. So I would be inclined to break it up in those positions. But until that area shows some development, normally you would have no road at all until somebody was ready to develop it, in which case the developer would then be the one who was required to build the road. But that's the reason for the request for state funding. Stark Road, on the other hand, will be expanded at some point in time in the sense of improved. Not expanded north of 182, but improved to include perhaps some pedestrian ways, some right-hand turn lane areas, and that sort of thing. The city would end up taking that on, as opposed to requesting from the state. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Sound like you have a good plan.
Well, we try. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Alright, so all those, we had a motion and a second on the table. Any more discussion on that? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. And so we are also, looking at this resolution in support of, constructing a new library, which, as the mayor had mentioned, is over at least 60 years old. It was old when I was young, and I'm getting old. So, you know, of course, it's a vital piece of the puzzle for our community. So if I can get a motion in a second on, this as well. Motion from Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Miller. Any more discussion on the matter? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Appreciate it
much.
very much. I appreciate your hospitality.
Ms.
Y'all have a great day.
Hey,
Thank
did
you,
you ever
ma'am.
think you would hear about cattle gap in a road?
I did not, I took notes on that, but I'm trying to figure that one out. I know that they do that in the west,
We
because they
each
do have
climb-
the free range cattle.
We each climb mountains, we just have different, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely, but I had never heard of it in the south, I certainly knew about it out west, so, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Just threw me off, I was like, well, wait a minute.
All right. So, okay, yeah. County, Business Administration Assembly.
A budget amendment for the sheriff's department.
All right, then motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Miller. All those approved? Say aye.
All of them.
She won't do. She won't.
Unity Park, budget amendment.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Miller. All those in favor say aye. Motion carries.
Road department, budget amendment.
Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Williams. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Budget amendment, triad grant.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Trainer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Interfund transfer to 911.
Okay. Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Trainer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We have slurry seed bid results, and Mr. Pritchard is recommending that we award the project to, T.L. Wallace, I believe was the name of the company.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Williams.
I won't ever have that done.
Yeah, all those in favor say aye.
T.L. Wallace.
Sorry, still didn't work out good for me.
You got the wrong cover.
Oh, well, I didn't, that's who got the bid, you know.
Yeah.
We have acknowledge Mrs. Sykes' continuing education attendance.
Supervisor Trainer, Miller. All those in favor say aye. Motion carries.
Credit card charges.
Supervisor Trainer, you good with that? Supervisor Williams, you good with that? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Let's skip over here to the Longview Egerton pay request.
I'm good with it.
That road.
Second. Agreed is good.
John Montgomery, Orlando County.
All those in favor say aye. They did a great job.
Pay request to Pritchard Engineer for, Longview Egerton.
I'm good with that motion. Second by Supervisor Trainer. All those in favor say aye.
Okay. Got, invoice from Pritchard for the work he did on the Barnett Drive Bridge of $18,075.
18,000, we never accomplished anything.
What you wanna do?
It's a lot of money, y'all,
But we still have a discussion on that, though.
No, it's no longer
No
LSBT project, it does not satisfy.
But I'm just, 18,000, we should have talked to her.
And the engineer should have known it was, it's not gonna be an
I want- can we wait?
project.
You wanna table that?
Let's table that, I'm gonna table that, I'll make a motion if that's okay, just table that.
I'll tell you table.
Got an amendment to, amend the memorandum of understanding with the Secretary of State for, reimbursement of overboard expenses.
Yeah, that was what we did on the poll work.
Yeah.
Motion by Supervisor Miller.
I'm,
You second? Okay. Second by Supervisor Williams.
Okay.
That don't have to be reimbursed.
We're trying to get reimbursement for it. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm saying, we still have some that we didn't use.
Yeah, we're gonna lose a bunch of money, I'm afraid.
What?
Okay. Site Masters, we were holding their final payment to the settlement of that insurance claim with somebody had their vehicle damaged, that's been settled. Site Masters is wanting the payment of the $15,104.87.
So,
They want, wait a minute, they want us to pay it?
Yeah, we owe Site Masters, we held up their payment on that other deal. We came out fine on that.
Okay, so they settled with that person.
Yes,
They
they're.
raised some cane.
Yeah,
They see you in Lowe's, come running up to you.
yeah.
Me too, man. So, who made the motion?
I made a motion.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Williams. All those in favor say aye.
Okay, payment of claims docket, claim number 616-1105.
Need a motion to pay the claim. Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Trainer. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We got,
It's done.
4-0.
3 old ones.
Three of them abstain. Okay, that's all I got.
Alright, so county, business,
Can we, on the last two things, since Supervisor Howard's not here, can we table those until he gets here, those appointments?
That's fine.
Is that okay? Just the last two, not the curfew, but the appointment to the water board and, waste. I think it'd just be important for us all to do.
our appointment,
Yeah.
because, Miss Emily, there has been an appointment made already on the, Tom
I
Bigby,
gotta ask him something.
on the Tom Bigby for the governor's appointment, correct?
It's my understanding that they're going to appoint somebody, I don't know if it's been made yet or not. And,
The governor's gonna want that.
yes, and the person that, I had talked to and everything, is willing to, willing to serve and it won't be a
Since I
conflict.
missed that road money on that tree, would that be okay for next time?
Alright, so we'll table those two until we have a full board. On the curfew, what's the views on the curfew?
Supposed to be extended.
Yes?
Alright, motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Miller. Any more discussion on the curfew? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That'll keep it from midnight to 4 in the morning, until our next board meeting.
I just have to ask one thing real quick before we leave, and I wanna make sure that it would be, the first project that I did last time, or we did together in District 4, was Airport Road. Y'all remember that, off of Highway 12? Well, when you turn off Highway 12 right now, right there beside, right there in front of that auto zone, the drop off is, the pothole is, you would lose a vehicle in there. Is that something that we can legally fix right there, since we fixed that road? It's right there on the, can you check on that? If so,
Say
can
that
I
one
put in a
more
work
time,
order
so I
for
can-
that? Can you get that done pretty quick?
Say that one more time.
Okay, so and we did go all the way out to the Highway 12 intersection and tied them together. We went over the railroad tracks, the county did. The first project that we did in District 4, last term, was redoing Airport Road. We redid Airport Road. We went all the way out to Highway 12 and tied it in. When you come off Highway 12, right there to the right, the yield to the right, right there at AutoZone, on the edge of the road right there, where those big trucks have been dropping off, there is a pothole this deep, and I'm afraid if we don't fix it, if we can legally fix it, that it's gonna start breaking the road arm. So can you make sure we can do that?
I'll check.
Yeah, we can do
It could, I think, Supervisor Miller, do you think that might be the highway?
That's what I'm making sure it's not us,
Because
not the highway.
they redid that when they redid 12.
Yeah, but they came on top of it. We went across the railroad tracks, if y'all remember, when we did Stark Road. So I don't know if it's whoever, if it's the states, then I need to see what we can, but if it's ours, I wanna make sure that we can, you know.
I'll call
Is it
them.
on the road, is it in the road?
No, it's on the side of the road.
It's not on, in the road,
It's
it's
in the
not
right of way.
private property?
Goes on
No,
right
no,
away.
no, no,
In front
no.
of-
I mean, it's right there when you come off, where those big trucks have been dropping off in that dirt, and it's gonna break the road off. But it's not right there in the turn, it's past the curb. So that's where, see, we went across railroad tracks when we did it, and tied it in right there. So it's right there on that line where when they did 12, they came in. But if we don't repair it, the road is gonna start breaking off right there, and we're gonna have a bigger issue. So I need to find out if we can repair that. If we can't, then.
It's
safety
not
issue.
repaired.
I think based on the safety
We
issue.
need to hold it
Either
together.
repair it or get the state to repair it.
We use some part of that line.
You're good on that. We're gonna do that.
Supervisor
I will.
Williams, yes, Supervisor Williams. Can you sign right here in a second?
You're good on that, and I, whether the state does it or we do it, I'll find out, but it needs to get done.
Yeah.
The finance of the road manager, we're gonna do.
You gonna need cold, like hot mix?
It's so deep, you're gonna have to put something in there
Probably
first.
a clean ground.
I've seen what you're
And
talking
then-
about, just in a crowd,
Don't be
you
too comfortable
continue,
right now.
just saying that, what the deal was, but I'll call the.
But I just didn't know it was where it ties in, but that was, we went across railroad tracks
I
when we
think
did
we're
that
okay to
project.
do it ourselves if we wanted to, but if I can get them to do it, it'd be less expensive on us, so let me find out if I can just.
Anything else?
I make the motion to adjourn until,
Oh, I know
oh,
something.
I'm sorry.
16th.
I have something.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm requesting that we allow, Mr. President, to program Harris Road Bridge. We know that bridge is in imminent danger. imminent danger, and the state is gonna be requesting additional LSBP funding, so we look good for that.
The bridge is bad.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
don't have that much money in LSBP money though.
You didn't, can I make that statement again? We're gonna get a long ways off. Clyde think that, the state is gonna replenish. It's gonna replenish the LSBP dollars, and then thanks to that, not only Clyde thinks that, but, Mr. Whitney also, Mark Whitney also thinks that. We got a letter to that effect, to Clyde. So we think that the funding is gonna be available, we just don't wanna lose it unless some other county get those funds. If they don't use their funds, then those funds will be diverted to Ottawa County. So we wanna at least be in place to receive those dollars, but when those dollars come down, before they go to another county.
So you're saying we'll program it pending
Right,
funding?
pending funding, that's right.
Alright, got a motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Miller, all those in favor, say aye. Motion carries.
But when we
We tell them about the
program
election
this, when we program this, even if we don't get funding, we're gonna have to pay Richard.
Well, then we need to
Yeah,
wait.
but eventually we're going to have to replace that bridge, because keep in mind now that the bridge itself is shorter than the basis of the creek. So that is in very much danger of somebody falling over into that creek.
This is not one of those short span like the one in my district where they decided all of a sudden it's not a bridge. I mean, you know,
It's entirely different.
but got $18,000 bill. Miss Emily, on that, bill, he asked him, did he ever do like, you know, like, I mean, what made the bill 18,000 to look at that bridge?
There's no documentation of what.
Yeah, because there was never even any architectural drawings, to my knowledge, done. The county was gonna go put a culvert in.
I thought he did the calculations and the design and everything, but
Gave it to the city and they didn't like it.
Yeah, I thought he did.
Oh, well, if he did, I mean, it's been so long, I just didn't know what made it that much.
So we'll let him, next time. Everybody see in their packet that the people have asked for reappointment for next year.
Yeah.
Anything else? Not? We wanna adjourn until the 16th at 5:30?
21st.
21st? Okay. You good with that?
My 30 day.
Alright, that'll work. Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Trainer on the 21st at 5:30. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.